ओम नमो हरिहंसाणं, ओम नमो सिद्धाणं, ओम नमो वीर्याणं, ओम नमो नमो नुवे
पंचनमुखा
Yes, Rishabh ji, over to you.
सादर जय जिनेंद्र। मेंटर मीट द मेंटर, आज का ये प्रोग्राम हम सभी को पता है कि किस तरह से जब महाभारत का युद्ध शुरू होने से पहले भगवान श्री कृष्ण के पास अर्जुन भी पहुंचे और दुर्योधन भी, और उन्होंने देखा कि दुर्योधन उनके सर के पास जाके बैठे थे, तो सबसे पहले आंख खुली तो अर्जुन उन्हें दिखाई दिए। लेकिन चूंकि दुर्योधन पहले आए थे, दुर्योधन ने उनसे चतुरंगनी सेना मांग ली, लेकिन अर्जुन ने उनको एज ए मेंटर मांगा कि भाई आप मेरे साथ अगर हैं, आप अगर सारथी बनते हैं तो मुझे और किसी चीज की आवश्यकता नहीं है। और यही आज के समय में मेंटर की जो नीड है, दैट नीड इज वेल एस्टेब्लिश्ड वर्ल्ड वाइड। तो आज हमारे साथ मीट द मेंटर प्रोग्राम में जो जुड़े हैं रजत जैन जी, इनका एक छोटा सा इंट्रोडक्शन मैं देना चाहूंगा। इनका व्यक्तित्व बहुत विशाल है और उसको शब्दों में जोड़ना बड़ा मुश्किल है। ही इज एन एलुमिनस फॉर IIT Delhi and IIM Ahmedabad with an experience of more than 30 years in various leadership roles as a founder in Padaventure, executive vice chairman Neva Garments, chairman and managing director of Mobile to Win India, former managing director of Xerox India, Walt Disney Company in India, and also business head in Sony Entertainment Television Setmax. He has conducted various leadership roles in SL Group, Telstra, Bankaiser, and sales and product manager in Hindustan Unilever. Such a wide personality with us as a leadership and a startup mentor. He is an angel investor also, an independent director in various boards. So today he is contributing to various social and advisory role. Welcome to you, Shri Rajat ji. Now I'll ask Sanjay ji Jain, our chairman, managing director TT Limited, to kindly start the proceedings of the day. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
सबको मेरा सादर जय जिनेंद्र। Welcome Rajat ji to our Meet My Mentor program. This is an initiative by Jito Business Network. Jito today is one of the largest community-based organizations globally, with a corpus of about 1,000 crores and spanning 67 cities in India and 26 cities across the world. So it's a very big network, having a portfolio and mix of people from all walks of life. Jito Business Network is one of the verticals of Jito, and this has been created essentially to promote business among the community for with the goal of economic empowerment, which will lead to more resources, more power to help and work for humanity and community both. This mentorship, as Rishabh said, is recognized as a very important part of life. And whether it comes with the name of mentor or not doesn't make a difference. But we always have someone or the other who has guided us during our life at various stages. Mentor is a new word which has come in the last few years. Personally, I am also a mentor in various platforms, various forums, globally, nationally, also in various startup competitions, etc. So I realize the value of mentorship, and we have jointly curated this program. The difference in a mentorship program and a general talk is that in a talk, the speaker tells what he feels the audience should know. While in a mentorship program, the mentor or speaker says what the mentees or what the audience would like to know from him. So this is a very distinct difference that we have kept. And that's why all the questions that we share and ask are those which have come from the target audience. Some may have, maybe here, some may not be here, but what they felt they would like to know from the mentor. And Rajat ji is on this series. We do once a month such a program. We've had people like Motilal ji Oswal and so on, Sanjay Gorawat ji on our program across the time. So we pick up various giant successful personalities from various walks of life. So this is and before I hand over to Divya ji to conduct and start this session, just wanted to add one thing about Jito JBN, a very big program that we are doing in August. We are doing a JBN Mahakumbh. A Mahakumbh 12 दिन का एक activity रहता है, and we all know on this 12 days we are going to be doing a series of business activities, which will be very focused, curated, where we expect 500 Jain businessmen to be exhibiting their wares on a virtual platform, a well-established virtual platform, again created by a Jain, Himanshu Bhai, who is also our event convener. And we'll be having 2-hour sessions every day, where large corporates will be coming up with business opportunities. कि कैसे large corporates से we can benefit by being vendors, partners, associates, etc. So it's a totally focused business Mahakumbh which we'll be having. और जो लोग stall लेना चाहे, Aradhya will be sharing the connect on the chat box. I think so. It's a very cheap. हमें no profit हमारा motive है. So we have kept it at a very low value of 11,000 rupees for every stall. And for people who are below 20 lakhs of turnover, which who we call our Jain SSBs, उनके लिए सिर्फ 5,000 में stall है. You will have exposure for 12 days, and we expect to footfall of more than 1 lakh people coming across. We'll be extensively spending on social media, apart from using the Jito network, globally to get visitors on here. तो ये एक ऐसा स्नान है जो आपको शायद एक अलग ही empowerment की दुनिया में ले जा सकता है. One connect, one associate can change the life of a person. And before I conclude, JBN के power में एक छोटा सा example जो आज सुबह हुआ उससे share करके conclude करूंगा. I was sitting having tea, morning tea हम लोग लेते हैं कैलकाटा में, चाय अड्डा बोलते हैं. तो एक friend ने कहा मैंने जीतो का MSME का program attend किया था, talk, और मुझे 30 लाख का फायदा हो गया. मैंने कहा कैसे? बोला वहां MSME का समाधान के बारे में मुझे बताया गया. मेरे एक PSU से 4 साल से 28-25 लाख रुपया बाकी थे, प्लस इंटरेस्ट करके 28 लाख. मैंने एक चिट्ठी MSME समाधान में डाली आफ्टर आई केम टू नो, और मेरे 15 दिन में वो घर आके उन्होंने चेक भिजवा दिया, मुझे जाना भी नहीं पड़ा. और बोला ऐसे मैंने 75 लाख और क्लेम कर रखा है. सो एक छोटी सी कनेक्ट, इट इज ऑलवेज अबाउट अपॉर्चुनिटी. बहुत लोग सोचते हैं हम टाइम क्यों स्पेंड करें. अब आज रजत जी से अगर आपको एक बात भी अगर आपने यू आर एबल टू टेक होम, एंड रजत जी आई वुड रिक्वेस्ट यू अगर आप कुछ एक्शनेबल अपने टॉक में एक्शनेबल चीजें बता सके, बिकॉज यू हैव बीन ऑन बोथ साइड्स. आज आप नेवा में एज अ बिजनेस एंटरप्रेन्योर हैं, और लुधियाना वाले तो सब नेवा ब्रांड को लुधियाना और वर्ल्ड सब जानते हैं, और दूसरे यू बीन एज अ प्रोफेशनल ऑन लार्ज कंपनीज लाइक वॉल्ट डिज्नी, ज़ेरॉक्स. तो एक छोटी सी एक्शनेबल थिंग कैन बी अ गेम चेंजर. सो प्लीज लुक आउट, लुक फॉर द बिग अपॉर्चुनिटीज. रोज का रन मेल काम हम करते रहते हैं और हमें हमेशा लगता है हमारे पास समय नहीं है, बट समय निकालना पड़ता है टू टेक द नेक्स्ट बिग लीप फॉरवर्ड. So once again, thank you Rajat ji, and thanks to everyone who is present here. And this is also running live on YouTube, and it is also going to be recorded there. So जो अभी नहीं आ पाए हैं, I know a lot of people see these series later on YouTube में बाद में. So you're most welcome to see it at any point of time. It's a very intense program, so we look for very intense participation. आपके कोई सवाल हो तो chat box में share करें. Because of time, we would only pick up chat box questions. Thank you, and back to you, Divya ji now.
Thank you so much, Sanjay ji, Rishabh ji, and welcome Rajat ji. It's indeed my pleasure to have this MTM series with you. Management is doing the right things, and leadership is doing right. Management is doing the things right, and leadership is doing right things. At the same time, leadership and management should go hand in hand. Today, with Rajat ji, whose life journey is a testimonial of all these two powerful quotes. Yes, today's MTM series is all about role of effective leadership in building and managing businesses. It's my indeed pleasure to have these interactions with you, Rajat ji. We have received more than 100 plus questions across chapters, across cities, and across wings of Jito. Yes, we have this time received a lot of questions from youth, and our mentor for the day, Rajat ji, today, with his immense life experiences, is going to share with us his words of wisdom to the questions which keep hitting us while scaling up, while managing different roles, whether it is a founder, promoter, business owner, manager, or even an investor. So let's deep dive into the session. I'm asking Rajat ji the questions which you all have shared with us. So let's get started. So Rajat ji, after looking at your profile, I'm sure everyone out here is going to be benefited immensely with your words of wisdom. So first question which comes from one of the member of Jito is that can you please elaborate on the role of a leader, basic qualities and image which is required as a leader. So over to you, sir.
Thank you, Divya. And at the very outset, firstly, I would like to thank Jito and Sanjay and Rishabh and you for inviting me to this very, very wonderful platform. I'm very familiar with this. And thanks for the very, very elaborate introduction that you just made. I'm personally, of course, very, very happy to be here. And like all of you, I have been through a journey in my life of 35 years. Not all of you, some of you, and most of you are still in that journey. There are a few things that we all learn, and I think sharing this with the community is only going to help everyone. So that's the context with which I'm, humble context in which I'm coming today. I will continue to speak in English and try and bring in Hindi where I can. Because the language, the professional language happens to be English. So Divya, you asked me role of a leader, basic qualities and image, if I remember correctly. Now that's actually 3 questions in one, and each one of them is a large subject. So let me try and take them one by one. As I see the role of a leader, it's ingrained in the word itself. It's to lead teams. It is to lead teams of people and make them rally around what I would call shared goals or common objectives. I think their key role would be to actually, get the big picture, put a vision or a direction on the board, and then get the teams to execute towards that vision. I think basically he's the guy with the big picture. And I would say for a leader, he should be stubborn with the vision and flexible with the details. I mean, that is a good leader. And he should definitely have short-term urgency for action. So action bias, but long-term patience for results. Results take time, but action has to happen every day, every minute, every moment. So basically they provide guidance, they mentor their teams, rightly so, as said earlier, the role of mentorship is very, very important. They make choices all the time. They communicate with stakeholders all the time, and they look after the people. If you look at a general in an army who's also a leader, a very big role is to look after your people. And finally, I would say as a role, celebrate successes along the way and provide timely and critical feedback to people. So that, I think in my view would summarize a little bit of what the role of a leader is. And the leader will be in different parts. It's in the army, it's at a nation level, it's at a corporate level, it's at a promoter level. So Narendra Modi is a leader, our general is a leader, and we are also leaders in our respective areas. And the head of the family is a leader of the family. So what are some of the basic qualities you asked? I think coaching and mentoring is perhaps a very big quality. Having a vision, so he should be probably a visionary, somebody who has a strategic mindset. So he should be probably a strategist. It's not necessary for him to be execution because you can get people to execute, but he should be able to take decisions. So a decisive person who can take hard choices, who can make, solid decisions. Necessarily, he should be a team player because you are leading people and you have to take people along. And he should be one who believes in delegation. You cannot do everything yourself. I think this world is about getting work done from people, whichever level of leadership you are. So I think delegation is a key quality which I see missing in a lot of people who occupy positions of leadership, because delegation means you have to trust somebody else that he'll be able to do something. And finally, I would say customer focused. It's important, at least in the world of business or in any part of the world. Whether you are a political leader, you have to listen to the constituency. You are a corporate leader, you have to listen to the customer. You're a leader of a family, you have to listen to the family members. So I think listening is important, and being customer centric. So I think these perhaps would be some of the 5 or 7 key qualities. And as far as image is concerned, I think image, you should actually project an image of confidence. You have to be seen as confident. You should be seen as approachable, somebody to whom you can actually, you're not intimidating, if you will. And clearly you're somebody who has a big picture and a vision, and who's able to, I would say again, delegate or empower his people.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. This is a wonderful opening, you can say remarks for the overall leadership role. Now, connected with this, a lot of times people have challenges in identifying which role, or how they really differentiate those roles, because you play multiple roles. So how to be a leader instead of being a manager or a supervisor? So because usually entrepreneurs end up managing a lot of things, supervising a lot of things, and how do you differentiate and how do you come out of that managing role and move to be a leader?
So there is overlap here. There will be overlaps in the role of a leader. At times he has to play the role of a supervisor. At times he will also perhaps play the role of a manager. But fundamentally, the difference in the leader would be, like I said earlier, he is the entrepreneurial person. He is the one who is putting the vision on the board, and the managers are executing it, right? The supervisors are supervising the managers, and so on. I mean, to me, managers and supervisors would perhaps come in one category. Also, I think the leader, brings innovation. He is the one who's really impacted by the outcomes. It's a little bit like saying, when you are at a position of leadership, your responsibilities are larger than just managing people, right? So I think he takes accountability, he takes responsibility. And in most cases, in fact, in all cases, I would see leaders as self-motivated. They don't need a manager to come and tell them, this is what needs to be done today, or this is what our goal is. The leader creates those and creates that drive. So I mean, there are 3 types of people. If I think, those who make things happen, those who see it happening, and then those who wonder what happened. So leaders are clearly in the first category. And some of the others, like you mentioned, managers, supervisors, will perhaps fall in the other 2 categories.
Perfect. I think so. Self-motivation is the biggest driving or biggest differentiator between the leader and the manager. When you spoke about innovation, this actually brings me to a question which someone has asked, is about how to lead a new generation digital business, or new generation, new age business, if we very specifically speak. And
Right.
if you are not into that new age, or if you're not a youngster, then how do you lead? So if you can throw some lights on that.
So this is a very, very topical area of discussion, Divya. And this is absolutely actionable. I think Sanjay mentioned about, what are the actions that some of these things we can take back. Whatever size of business we may have a 50 crore business, we may have a 5,000 crore business. Today, digital transformation is the new buzzword. I think we hear digital transformation everywhere. Company must undertake the journey of digital transformation, whichever way it is relevant to your company, right? It could be, things like engaging in social media. It could be mobile apps and devices. People understand different things about digital transformation. It could be online revolution and online sales, which I think is perhaps relevant to most of us, in this gathering today. It could be big data analytics, cloud computing. So I think this has implications across the value chain, including implications to strategy, implications to culture, and that the question you raised, Divya, is around culture, and on the axis of operations as well. So let's first understand what is this new generation that we are trying to manage, right? I think a lot of us, certainly I have children who are in the next generation, mid-20s, and I just wonder, ek generation mein sab badal gaya. That's the impression we all of us have. So what is this new generation? This new generation is obviously faster. They are more connected. They are always on a device, good or bad. I don't want to make any judgments here. They are technology natives. They have been born in the mobile world. When mobile was launched in the mid 90s or whatever, they are well informed. They have knowledge or information at the press of a Google. We did not have. They are data driven. So, in a conversation earlier, you could get away by saying population of this place is so much. On the side, they're looking at data and they'll quickly say, no, but this is the right answer. So I think this is an independent minded, well connected, learning oriented generation, which is more adaptive, which is more flexible, which is willing to learn. So I think the leaders for such people need to be necessarily digitally savvy. I think, obviously younger at heart, which means you can be a leader at 30. Today we are seeing, all kinds of IPOs of young startups at billions of dollars. Not many. One just closed yesterday, right? One will come up and close in a few weeks' time. And I'm just talking of India, but this is true around the world, right? So I think the leaders should be able to understand the vast impacts of new technology. New technology means, emerging technologies like artificial intelligence, like blockchain, like big data analytics, like Internet of Things. I mean, there are like cybersecurity. A lot of these things seem like tech or IT to most companies, but they are not tech and IT. They are mainstream technology platforms that impact an agribusiness, that impact an apparel business, that impact a healthcare business, and that impact a logistics business or pretty much any business. So I think understanding technology and prioritizing innovation is an important aspect of a leader who's leading a digital generation. And I think the last thing I would say here is that I would recommend, and I've seen this over the last 4 or 5 years, that every company, not a technology company, every company must have a digital director on its board. A digital director is a person who's digitally savvy. A traditional brick and mortar company may not be digitally savvy. The younger generation there will be. So you must have somebody at the leadership level who is digital minded, technologically savvy, and who can understand the impact of technology on your business. We call this a digital director.
Wonderful. So now I'm going to ask you exactly the opposite question, which a very young person has asked. How do we as young leaders get work done from senior professionals who are much more older than us in age and experience? And how do you handle gender bias in these cases? So the young leaders or young entrepreneurs having senior leaders, whether it's a family business or whether it's a business wherein they have senior leaders, professionals on their roles.
I think this is becoming more and more common today, that people are attaining leadership roles at very young age. In the times then when I started my career, it was a big thing to become a CEO at 40 or 45. The average age must have been 50 plus. Now the average age is around 30, 35. So if you're 45, you're done and finished. Khatam ho gaya aapka kaam. So, I'm saying the professional world, right? So younger people definitely have to manage older people. There is no doubt about it. And I think this is done with humility. This is done with knowledge. This is done by leading by example. So while, I think age is becoming less and less relevant right now. The younger people come in, like I said, that profile of smart, faster, adaptive, well-connected, all of that. They are coming with that data. They are coming with that knowledge. They're coming with all the information in the tech-driven world. And I think it is this power of knowledge and execution that matters eventually. To, you don't demand respect, you command respect. So you are able to command respect through showing your, let's say, quote unquote, superiority in terms of being able to deliver results. And people understand and people follow. Of course, interpersonal skills are very important, skills of persuasion. Those things go without saying. But at the end of the day, it is the generation where younger people are managing older people. And this is not about saying it is only about age. It's about who brings value to the table, right? And as far as gender is concerned, there is no question of gender bias in my mind. I think in this world today, everything and everybody is equal. All genders are equal. In many ways, all ages are equal. It's about who's bringing value. And I think if people recognize that, then there is likely to be much less of a challenge. I think that's the best strategy.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for this. Now, someone has asked the question, is this scale necessary for getting funded? As we have some very innovative business ideas, but not bandwidth to achieve the scale. So how would you, look at this question from a leadership perspective, and how the businesses look at the scale at the leadership level or expanding their businesses?
So if the question is scale necessary to get funding? I think the answer is absolutely not. Today you see young ideas getting funded, right? If you look at the first funding of most innovative companies, that has happened before they have even got the first dollar of revenue. I think the question is, how do you get funding? And how do you get your idea to be good enough to get funded? Everybody has an idea. I have an idea almost every week, but it may not be a good idea. Most ideas may not be good ideas, and they're not worth funding. So the question here is, how do you make your idea to become worth funding? Which means, how do you validate the idea? And how do you get to the right kind of people who fund? To answer, the first one, there are various ways of validating an idea. And I think this question, when you're saying funded, we are talking in the context of startups, because only startups will need funding, right?
Yes.
So you need to get the idea validated. There are processes of validating an idea. There are boot camps, etc. I don't want to go there in detail. Padder Ventures, the company I represent, does a lot of that work with startups. But more importantly, who are the people who will fund ideas? So the funding hierarchy starts first with family and friends. The people who know you are the first ones who will fund you. Once you get some funding, or you put your own money in, you demonstrate with something called a proof of concept. And then you have enough angel investors. A lot of them will be here in the platform. There is a Jito Angel Group and so on. They will fund early stage ideas. There are early stage funds who will fund early stage ideas. And today we don't know this very well. A lot of people don't know, but there is hundreds of crores of government grants being given for funding ideas in the area of biotechnology, Department of Science and Technology, agriculture, transportation, smart city. So this whole Atmanirbhar platform, the government has this Startup India initiative, under which there are lots of grants that are given to people varying from 3 lakhs to 50 lakhs to even 2.5 crores, which is the initial amount that you would typically need to create some traction. And once you're seen as a good idea, then VCs will be after you to fund you. There is no doubt about it. There is a lot of money chasing good ideas, a lot of money.
Perfect.
So scale is not important. Scale comes later.
Makes sense. Perfect. Absolutely. Now, with this scale, or when we talk of expansion, a very connecting question which came is how to overcome the fear of expansion and how to be more risk-taking. How do you really, come out of that fear zone and move towards building a big business? Over to you, sir.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, so I'm not sure why fear would come. I'm just wondering why, unless you are expanding into uncharted, unknown territories. To my mind, fear could come if you're going international, if you're expanding outside India. If you're growing from a small company in Delhi to a larger company in Delhi to a much larger company in North India, it is unlikely that, I don't know, I'm just not able to get why you would get fear. But if you're going from here to expand into Africa, then I think clearly there is a fear, because of the fear of unknown comes in. This is for a local expansion, it is much more about taking a calculated risk, a calculated approach. I think it's more a numbers game to me. Assume you're doing well in your home markets, you expand into other markets in other states and so on. But the moment you talk of international, there is a cultural gap. You don't understand the language. I mean, you've heard of this famous thing about South India and North India. What is this in South India and what is this in North India? And there is no right answer even today. My wife is a South Indian and we continue to keep getting confused about this and this. So I think there are cultural gaps about how, how do you understand international cultures? Obviously, it's much more expensive given the rupee dollar or the rupee Western currencies. And you got to be careful about how you spend your money. You need to study your market ahead of time. So there are these fears which you should attack systematically, in a manner. For example, there will be regulatory fears. कि यार वहाँ पे laws क्या हैं? वहाँ पे क्या कानून क्या है? Get a reasonable legal expert to guide you. You will want employees in that market. Should you send people from here? Should you hire local people there? Obviously, I think it's always better to hire locally. I think that there is an unknown there, right? So I mean, there is a fear when we think of exports, we think whether our product will work in other markets or not. So, I mean, there are answers to a lot of these fears. If we sit down and sort of, think through them prudently, you can do market research, you can do local hiring, you can get legal advice, you can share experiences with platforms like Jito, and there are a lot of people. So again, mentor. I mean, if you are able to get somebody on your board who has already expanded into Africa, he'll be able to tell you 20 things straight away, and आपके 12-14 fear तो वहीं खत्म हो जाएंगे. So I think it is about, again, mentoring, getting the right people, getting the right partnerships, getting the right counsel and advice at the right time.
Makes sense. Perfect. So now, a very connected question to earlier what we discussed is about what are the qualities of the great business promoter. There might be a difference between a leader and a promoter. Mm-hmm. So if you can, highlight some good qualities of a great business promoter.
I think there will be a lot of overlap here, Divya, in my mind. So who is a promoter? I'm just trying to now think, how is a promoter different from a leader? A promoter is somebody who promotes something, right? So let's say he's promoting a new business. So obviously he has to have a vision. He has to have a goal. He has to have some ability to, get a team together who will execute, right? I think there will be some set of skills that is important. There will be a set of traits that is important for a promoter. And I think a lot of luck, which I'm not able to quantify in a professional sense, but I think luck plays a significant role in terms of what I would call being at the right place at the right time. So you did an IPO today versus having done an IPO last year could be totally different for everything else being same.
Game changing. Yeah.
Game changing, exactly. So I think if you think of behavioral or traits, it's about being fair and honest, having empathy. If you think of skills, it's about visioning, it's about delegation and being able to build a team, and it's about building a network. Again, promoters have strong networks, like JBN is a good example of a global network. How do you leverage your network for building your business or promoting your business? So, but I think what I'm trying to think as I'm speaking is that there is a lot of commonality between what a promoter would have and what a good leader would have.
Makes sense.
Actually, in my mind.
Yes. So as we, Sanjay ji also spoke about actionable. So we would like to know some key to-dos for the leaders for effectively building big businesses.
So I think 4 or 5 things that is important. To me, the first one would be communication. Talk to your people. As a leader, you should be able to communicate what your business, your company is about. What is your vision? What is your goal? Where do you want to go? Right? So that is one very important. Again, it's a skill of a leader. The second thing is talent management. Getting the right kind of talent and making sure that the talent stays with you. So this is little different from team building and delegation. This is about hunting the right talent and managing the talent in the right way. The life cycle of the talent should be managed well. There is no point getting a talent, training it for 1 year, and then he goes away to competition because you're not able to meet the aspirations of the talent. Right. The third thing is perhaps very, very important is building the right culture. The culture of openness, the culture of fairness, the culture of equity. You asked about gender bias, you asked about some of those things. I think they should not even have a place in an organization. So people should feel comfortable, people should feel equal, there should be no discrimination. I mean, that is what I mean by culture. You should be approachable, you should not get fired for saying the right things. So that third part of getting the right culture is very important. And the fourth is meritocracy and professionalism. So you're rewarding the right things, you're incentivizing in the right way. And I think this sort of, fits in well also with fairness. You are not only fair, you're seen to be fair. Right? So I think it's about, as a leader, you have the right culture, you're doing the right things, you have a great vision, you're managing the talent well. And then therefore, over the life cycle, at some stage, large companies or companies which becoming larger need to professionalize. So you need to attract high quality professional talent, and managing that talent is a very different cup of tea compared to managing family owned talent, right? So there needs to be crispness and clarity of communication. I think these 4 or 5 things will make a huge difference.
Perfect. So I would also like to ask you about your leadership journey, how you have seen yourself emerging from, the leader in the multinational companies versus a leader in the family businesses which you have run, and now your new venture. So how do you see your journey emerging on the ladder of leadership? Or from very nascent stage of your life, your career, till, so if you can.
Yeah, I think it's a journey of maturity. When I started off at the young age of whatever, 21 or 22 or something at Hindustan Lever, I was not taught. I mean, I had sort of theoretically learned leadership lessons at IIM Ahmedabad and so on, but they are not good enough. I mean, absolutely, with zero work experience, you have very little correlation between theory and practice. I had no work experience, till I completed my MBA, and I think that's not a good thing anyway. You should have some work experience. So, but you're thrown in the deep end in a Hindustan Lever kind of or a Unilever kind of world where you're already leading on day one a team of 30 people. And by the way, all of them are older to you. So my oldest guy when I was 22 was 58 years old, and my youngest guy was 32, and I was 22, and I was supposed to lead that team. So you can imagine the challenge. And of course, most people think ये कौन बच्चा आ गया है, ये क्या करेगा, इसको क्या आता है, थोड़ा पढ़ लिख के आ गए तो ये हमको lead करेंगे. So I think starting from there, and obviously getting supported by management, it's really on the job, on the ground training. And I think what comes to your rescue is your knowledge, is your ability to work with numbers, is your ability to constantly impart new learnings to your team. So they are operating salesmen. You are a sales manager. You are 24 or 22 and they are 45. But still you're able to pass on a lot of value and learning to them, and you develop respect. As you go along in your career, you become a mid-level leader, you head up a department and you have 10 other MBAs working for you. That's a different kind of leadership totally. Now you're leading a guy who actually thinks he's better than you, and he's probably better than you, by the way. His only problem was he was born 7 years later. और कोई फर्क नहीं है, वो हार्वर्ड से है, आप कहीं और से हो, और आप उसको लीड कर रहे हो. That leadership is now a different cup of tea. And I think it's perhaps much more complex because you cannot get the knowledge game in front. You cannot get the age game in front. The only game you have is that you are his senior or you are his boss or you are his whatever. I think there you work as collaborative peers. वो कहने का leadership है, but you actually work as a team, as collaborative peers, and you say, you will do this, I will do this. Together as a team, we will deliver this big goal. So it's much more about peer management as opposed to hierarchical, which is what I said in the first part. And the third part is when you are at the top of a company. So you are the managing director. My last 15 years, I was managing directors of different kinds of corporations. And I'll come to the family owned in a minute, right? There, I think you are now much more responsible for the entire company. It is your vision. It is your objectives that are being driven, that are being achieved. Strategies are around that. Now you have the responsibility of, let's say, 2,000 people who will now share your vision and execute towards your goals. That leadership is now what motivation. It's about how you keep people motivated to do the same job day in and day out, morning to evening, because that's the way that goal will get achieved. So it moves, over a period of 20, 30 years to the top where motivation becomes the key. Now let's come to promoter companies. I think at a promoter company, the professional and the promoter relationship at the leadership level is a very, very delicate balance. It's an extremely delicate balance. It becomes even more delicate when you're dealing with the promoter's son, as opposed to the promoter himself.
Correct.
This is where the problems begin to happen in families when sons go out internationally to study and come back from the US. And there is a huge difference between the father and the son. I today sit on at least 3 different boards where I see this, what I would call the wide digital divide between the family. And in family के बीच में एक professional leader बीच में है, who's trying to manage 2 generations. And this is, I think, one of the biggest challenges of Indian promoter-driven businesses today, mid-sized businesses, where the next generation is coming in. And how do you create that whole transition plan, succession plan, particularly in the context of this onslaught of technology? And the older generation having built the business and built the value, but not understanding technology. And the new generation saying, I know it all, and this is mine, and this is the way it is done. And then the old guys now gets a professional to say, yaar, isko samjhao, kaise karna hai? And that, I think, doesn't have an easy answer.
Correct, correct. Absolutely. So we have been getting a lot of questions in the chat box. Before I move to that, I have one question to ask you about some recommendation from you on the books which you feel, have helped you in building your leadership roles more effectively. So some leadership books, if you have.
Motivational books, this is the one I'm reading right now. I mean, I was just
Okay.
reading it yesterday.
Oh,
This is
yeah,
the book
Tata
that just
Stories.
got published last week.
Yes.
It's written by Harish Bhatt. It is called Shots. Short
Yes.
stories from the Tata Group. Beautiful stories. Harish is my classmate, actually.
Okay.
Otherwise, so I don't read too much fiction. I read mostly, leadership books. I mean, there are a couple of books by a leadership author called Prakash Iyer. He has written a book called The Habit of Winning. It's a Eco Times bestseller, about 5-7 years ago. Again, short, simple. See, most of our life is full of stories.
Correct.
And every story, like this is 40 short stories. So every story has a lesson. And Harish has done a great job in doing 40 stories with some 40 lessons. And Prakash has done a wonderful job using cricket, which we all are very, very passionate about as Indians.
Correct.
Cricket to management, and lots of lessons from the world of cricket. The book is called The Habit of Winning. And I think these metaphors and these simple stories to me appeal a lot more than these thick Harvard Business Review type 200-page solid books where after reading 50 pages you forget ke piche kya tha. I mean, at least I don't have that kind of attention span to read mota kitab. So I like these short stories because I think life is about short stories, and they give you the right lessons.
Absolutely. Wonderful. Yeah. So there is a question from Chinmay Jain.
Yes.
So he's saying, or he's asking your views on improving scalability for SMEs and
Mhm.
what should be the right and optimum route to get there.
I think scalability for any company eventually is linked to coming back to first principles, the vision of the company and the execution of the strategy to achieve that vision. And scalability in my mind is size right now. So if you're a 50 crore company, you want to become a 500 crore company. You're a 500 crore company, you want to become 5,000 crores. That is scalability.
Correct.
So scalability is about more revenue, more sales, which could mean newer strategies, newer markets, newer products, better pricing, all those things. But I think at the end of the day, it will start with having the right vision, and then constantly being able to prioritize. You always have to make choices. So I think the discipline of prioritizing the choices, I mean, you should be able to make out the difference between what is a possibility and what is a priority, and staying focused on your priorities will lead to execution, quality execution, which will automatically lead to scalability.
Beautiful. Very nicely explained. And I think I can also correlate, this thing in my business. So very well said, sir. Now, Vikram has asked the question, how can digital director, because you spoke about digital director, how can digital director help in logistics business? So if you have some experiences, you can share. Yeah.
No, so I think Vikram, the point I'm trying to make is that technology is impacting every business. If you look at logistics, look at what delivery has done to the entire logistics business, including Gati, and you can name 20 companies. There is VRL Logistics, there is Gati, and then there is delivery. I mean, it's a little bit like Zomato. The value of Zomato is more than the value of the 10 biggest food companies, McDonald's, Pizza Hut. Aap sab add kar lo, value is more. The value of Ola is more than the value of the top 10 hotel chains, for example. I mean, or Airbnb for that matter. So this is more about saying, how can technology impact logistics, right? And technology, if you believe in that, then the digital director will bring in the perspective of technology and the applications of technology. So there are at least 15 or 20 startups that I have seen in the last 4 or 5 years who are in the trucking and logistics space. They are trying to get full truckloads, half truckloads, optimization, etc., etc. Now, this is all happening in young startups using new technology platforms, blockchain, etc. You will not know about it. Hopefully, a digital director will be able to dip into a lot of these happenings that may be happening in the startup ecosystem, in the startup logistics ecosystem, and bring it to you or bring it to the company to be evaluated to see कि अगर ये लोग कर सकते हैं तो क्या हम कर सकते हैं, और हम नहीं कर सकते तो क्या हम इनसे पार्टनर कर सकते हैं, पार्टनर नहीं कर सकते तो क्या इनको खरीद सकते हैं, क्या इनमें इन्वेस्ट कर सकते हैं, मतलब बहुत कुछ कर सकते हो आप. As a corporate, once you decide, because the reality is that hundreds of corporates have died because of disruptive innovation. Xerox is a good example. Kodak is a good example. BlackBerry is, I mean, I can give you 100 examples of companies that have vanished overnight. Nokia, they didn't see smartphones coming, and smartphones came and Nokia got wiped out. So a lot of the innovation that is happening may not happen inside your company. You have to first believe that innovation kahin bhi ho sakta hai. ये एक बिलीफ होना चाहिए कि इनोवेशन आपके ही घर में नहीं होगा, अगर बाहर भी हो सकता है तो उसको कैसे कैप्चर करना है उसके बारे में अगर आप सोचोगे तो ऑटोमेटिकली डिजिटल डायरेक्टर का रोल क्लियर हो जाएगा.
Perfect. So there is one question which has come about the family business when you spoke.
Yeah.
Can you enlighten on how to manage staff when there are 2 generations in the promoter family and all the staff are reporting to all the members of the promoter family? So this is little tricky question, I understand, but if you can throw some lights on how to resolve or how to
I think
find a middle way to it.
बहुत mess है वो. That mess, see, that is, so I'll tell you a statistic. 96% of promoter driven businesses do not go beyond the third generation. 96%. And one of the big reasons why that happens is what you just said, Divya. This is a mess. So, I mean, let me give an example of Aditya Birla Group. Aditya Birla Group was run by Ashok Birla and whatever, Kumar Mangalam Birla's father. And he died an untimely death. As we all know, he passed away suddenly. And Kumar, at an early age of mid-30s or whatever, was, everybody in that company reported to his father. And they were all 55 or whatever, much older than Kumar Birla. What did he do? He got a few people who were his sort of generation, knowledgeable, technology oriented, and slowly he created a situation where the older people got retired. They were never retiring. And a new breed came in. So I think when multiple generations are operating, you have to be careful about sensitivities, loyalties, but value. I think who is bringing the value? So if you are managing, staff who's reporting to everyone, I mean, the simple answer is you have to first get out of that situation. Otherwise, it's not, and if you can't do it, please get somebody from outside. So I sit on 2 family council boards. There is a concept called FBC, Family Business Councils, which a lot of promoters have, where when promoter and his son or daughter-in-law, आपस में उनका नहीं जब हो पाता है, they then seek outside counsel. And this outside counsel is able to actually see very clearly and give them advice. उसके बाद आपको मानना है नहीं मानना है वो आपके ऊपर है.
Correct. Perfect.
But I don't have an elegant answer to this, Divya, honestly. I just said what came to my mind.
Yes. No, but I completely understand. And this is, a challenge of a lot of family businesses today. Now, there is one question. I think this is very relevant question when we talk of leadership and managing businesses, is that we are a growing company and we cannot afford senior manager as a leader and try to develop a leader within an organization. But the times, once you develop the employee, he switches to a multinational and they move out of the organization. So how do you overcome these challenges?
So I think there are many ways today. If you can't afford a full-time senior executive, there is a concept of a virtual CFO, there is a concept of a virtual CMO. You should definitely, I think one thing that is very, very undervalued in India, generally having had a lot of international exposure, generally undervalued is advice and consulting. People generally think, Indian promoter group, whatever, that consulting should come for free. Which is that I will have a cup of coffee with somebody, he will tell me everything, and the session is over. This is not the way the Western world works. Consulting is knowledge business. Advice is the business of knowledge. So if there are, and what you're raising, Divya, is about getting talent, which you can't afford.
Correct.
And the way to do that is you get bits and bytes of that talent. So mid-sized companies don't need a full-fledged CFO or a full-fledged CMO. There is Jagdish Kapoor in Bombay, who does the role of virtual CMO for about 14 companies. 2 days a month, he does the CMO role. I have somebody here who does the virtual CHRO role for 6 companies with 4 days per company per month. So let's say his cost was, let's say, 2 crores. It gets divided over 6 companies. And in that 4 days, he's able to do what you actually need. Usse zyada chahiye nahi. So I think there are ways and means of this whole new sharing economy is now coming up. People are feeling comfortable about sharing. Ola and Uber are part of the sharing economy. Similarly, virtual CFO, I haven't heard of, CEOs being shared, but next level certainly is a lot of sharing is happening.
Absolutely. This is really a great insight. And I think we are almost coming to the close of the session. It was really, really enlightening and so many relevant questions and with so many relevant, insights from you. So it's indeed pleasure to have you with us. A lot of questions are still there, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to take those questions and send it to you and take your answers and pass on to people who have asked that. And thank you so much for being here. And with this, I would hand over to Sanjay ji for the closing of the session. And once again, Rajat ji, thank you so much for great insights on the entire topic of leadership and managing for the building big businesses. Thank you. Over to you, Sanjay ji.
Thank you, Rajat ji. Thank you, Divya ji. Divya ji, I'm sorry I didn't formally introduce. She is our convener for JBN Mentorship. One question which I wanted to ask Rajat ji is already given his email ID. One person was asking how to, get onboarded to PadUp. So I'm sure Rajat ji will be more than helpful in getting those wonderful ideas and guiding them through. There was one question, Rajat ji, which was some top up in the chat box, which probably Divya ji missed as she was engaged with you. The question was for a MSME company, a medium-sized company, what is the right approach to start scaling up? What way should they go about it? Should it be incremental? Should it be disruptive? Or what sort of risk profile they should take? That was one of the questions. And because we have a lot of SMEs all around, it would be very helpful if you could give your thoughts on that.
So Sanjay, I think it would depend on the kind of company and the kind of product and the business you are in. So if you're in a standard business is limited, perhaps you will be scaling up incrementally, right? But if you are in a business where you have a patent for the next 10 years only, you have a breakthrough product and you have a global market, then you will perhaps scale with private equity capital. You will bring in a lot of external resources, jump the entire scene and scale from 300 crores to 3,000 crores in 3 years versus doing it in 10 years. So it depends on two things. What is your product quality range? What is the uniqueness, the differentiator? And what is your own risk appetite and your own execution appetite? Because scaling means execution, means process, means ERP, means IT, means lack of flexibility. It means many things. You have to give up a lot of your own decision-making power to committees, to technology. It's like saying हम backdate में कुछ नहीं कर पाएंगे फिर. Which is a big challenge for many people. When you say ERP लगाओगे तो फिर backdate कैसे होगा? अब तो हो नहीं सकता backdate में. तो फिर ERP लगा दो. ये मेरा real life example बता रहा हूँ आपको.
Yeah, thank you. Very rightly said. But one thing is for sure, we all need to consistently be thinking about growing, changing, because the world is moving too fast. And if we are not moving, we're going to be out of the box on the wrong side.
Absolutely, Sanjay. I think there is no substitute for hard work. There is no shortcut. I think we have to constantly be at it.
Now I would just like to close this session with thanks to Rajat ji, हमारे family member जैसे हैं. So it may be a bit inappropriate to be thanking him.
It is inappropriate, please.
वैसे मेरे को ना ये vote of thanks कभी पसंद नहीं आता in most cases, because I think so it's not called for.
You don't thank friends, Sanjay. You don't thank friends.
Absolutely, Rajat. That's Rajat ji, by the way, is my senior from IIM Ahmedabad. Oh, wow. And I've met him once, but he left a lasting, thing or impression, which made me just think about him when I was just wondering. And Neeraj ji, जो हमारे लुधियाना के convener हैं JBN के, फिर उनसे मैंने नंबर लिया, 2 नंबर लेटर मेरे फोन बुक में भी था, तो बोले मेरे तो cousin ही लगते हैं, तो मैंने कहा नहीं मैं directly connect कर लूँगा. I prefer that. Rajat ji, we hope we can tap onto you whenever we need any guidance or our members need guidance, because it's finally to take everyone to a better future, lead to more empowerment, more power for the community, keeping in mind that everything finally will lead to better service and contribution to society. Thank you all the participants for being here. We look forward every month. We have one MTM. We look forward to seeing you again in August. Rajat ji का email already Ramesh ji share हो चुका है. It's there in the chat box. आप देख ले. I know he is an amazing personality, amazing person. and the sort of insights and help you can get with him are beyond, because इनको both professional और entrepreneurial दोनों experience, he's touched upon both parts of the world, जो बहुत important है to appreciate and understand the pros and cons of both sides. So thank you everyone. Wish you all a happy Sunday. ज्ञान हो चुका है Sunday का. Let's enjoy, have a nice lunch and enjoy our evening. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Super.
Good.